Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Lost Like Mike. I'm your host, Mike Gonzalez. Special holiday edition. I always record on the Wednesday of the week, and tomorrow is Thanksgiving. And believe it or not, early in the week, I guess it's not that hard to believe. I guess it's out there in all of the advertisements that you see in the programs that you're watching, and I mean, really, to be honest with you, everything is fast forwarding to Christmas, commercials and things like that. But I've seen my share of things referring to Thanksgiving and to be thankful and reminding us of all that sort of thing. And I guess subconsciously my mind went there, and I started to think about a lot of different things. To be honest with you, I'm not really I'm not looking to do these are the things I'm thankful for kind of episode. It's just there's things on my mind, and I got to thinking of a couple of things that have been happening recently, and it's kind of like here's my spin on the season and what's going on, kind of in general. I want to say before I start, thank you for subscribing. Thank you for dropping by. If the universe brought you here in passing, then welcome. Lost Like Mike is my therapy. It's my way of sharing the things that are going on in my mind, and hopefully on some way connecting with the experiences, maybe the things that you see and hear in your own lives. Finding some sort of connection, tethering myself to the universe. And anyway, I was noticing that this lighting, really brings out the white in my hair. If you're watching on YouTube, if if you're just listening on the podcast, that's cool. I had to move around some stuff in the room, and so I'm all discombobulated. I'm out of sorts, as it were. So I'm just trying to adjust to that. Yeah, I've had moved out a lot of stuff from the room, so maybe that's that time of season too. It must have been November 1st. Just the early week of November, and my wife asked if I could go ahead and get the Christmas lights and the Christmas tree and all the decorations out, which I guess it's as a societal phenomena that's been a truism that's been coming out earlier and earlier. So if it was up to my wife, we'd leave it up all year long. So my deal was, okay, or really her deal, but I had been trying to get the room cleared out, the storage room, and I said, I'll get all the stuff out. I'll put up the lights outside. I'll do all that. But before we do it, I want to gut that. I want to gut the storage room, take everything out, and get rid of a bunch of junk. And she likes to, more than anything, I think her comfort zone is if you just add a little bit of shopping, into the mix, she can get on board. So in this instance, it was she wanted some new giant tubs to sort out the Christmas stuff, which was how the conversation started. We'll get some giant tubs and we'll get rid of these. We've had these other ones for like 10 years or forever. And so she was on board. But then next thing you know, well, we're going to have to get some, extra tubs. So whatever we sort out in the storage room, we could put into these new tubs. And then next thing you know, this room where I do all of the episodes and recording and different things, I find everything tossed in a giant storage tub, and the rest is history. I have this thing about, excuse me, by the way, I think I need functional shelves. You know what I'm saying? Like as soon as I put the storage bin lid, it's like those items disappear forever. I lose them forever. So I don't know. She was buying these. She was on there was this guy. So we go to Goodwill every now and then, right? We were going there for every week for a minute there, and I guess there was a guy in our neighborhood or somebody that was donating to the Goodwill that we went to, who had my shoe size, and he must have had all these boots and shoes, and so for a couple weeks, all of a sudden I started picking up all these, different styles of shoes, military boots and tactical boots and different sneakers and whatnot, right? And so we put them in this one bin and never heard from them again. Like, I'm still wearing the same one pair of sneakers that I wear all the time. But that's the danger, I guess, and it sounds all like, oh, this is a problem. I've got so many shoes. I don't want it to come off like that, but I'm just saying, these are the shoes that I wear all the time. For example, just to put it in perspective, I paid $3 for that pair of shoes. Just because they're Nikes doesn't matter. I went to a garage sale and this man had my shoe size. So he had all these Nikes that were $3 each. I mean, not like Air Jordans or anything, but they were like sweet looking shoes. But, I just stocked up on whatever I could grab. And the same with the boots and stuff. They're all like $10 or, $12, something like that. So I'm not balling like that. I don't want to come off like I go $100 shoe shopping, $300 shoe shopping every weekend. I don't know what it is about doing this show that my voice just goes away. It's like it dries up and I'm gone. Anyway, so that was the deal. We were going to go in and we took all the Christmas stuff out. And then we cleared out the room and so it just caught that bug, where now she wants to. And that's another thing too. I mean, we always went out for Thanksgiving to, the in-laws' house or to my family's house, my brother and my sister. But this year it just doesn't seem like that's happening. So my wife opted to do it here at our house, which is kind of like a double-edged sword because on the one hand, this is what happens. So she says, I want to have it here at the house. And I think she decided last week, or, it's been coming, but starting last week, she started deep cleaning the house, which is kind of, she's pushing herself really hard, and I'm helping, with what I can, but anyway, so on the positive side, yeah, families get to come over here, and which puts a lot of stress on her, which is the negative part. But on the plus side, the house looks really good, and she really and I don't know, I'm looking forward to, I don't know, I'm just real traditional sense. Like I all my life I never was real big on having the turkey and the sides and the whole bit. I never was like about the certain pies that you get at Thanksgiving or any of that kind of stuff. But for some reason, I'm really like looking forward to a very traditional, kind of. I'm looking forward to having a nice, lunch or what have you, a nice Thanksgiving meal with, it always puts a magnifying glass on your relationship with your family. My mom, she's at her senior home, and she can't make it out this time around. There were some health complications that went on this, so I'm gonna go see her briefly. Oh well, not briefly, but I'm gonna get to go see her. But she can't come out, and for whatever reason, my family is going to other houses. So it's just gonna be the immediate, myself and my wife and my daughter, and one or two family members that are gonna come over, drop by. I don't know how to build that life that I grew up with, with all the cousins and the second cousins and the aunts, uncles, and I don't know. It makes me sad sometimes to think that I won't see that in my lifetime again. Which you might think is an exaggeration, but it's not in the cards it's not in the foreseeable future for me. So, but which brings me to the second point, which is that I am grateful for what I have. I'm not saying it to be ungrateful. So we had this work luncheon, and I was one of the organizers. I got all this big spread, all this Thanksgiving type food. We did it a couple weeks ago. I don't even know if I mentioned it at all I try not to really talk about work, but I'll try to be vague and just kind of talk about this particular thing that I was noticing. I mean, I didn't cook anything, right? But I was part of the organizing team that got that went out to all these different vendors and try to find somebody to cater the luncheon and do the flyers and the advertisements to make sure everybody knew the when and the where and all that kind of stuff. And the team obviously did a lot of work to decorate and to facilitate this event. And by all accounts, it was a success. It was a lot of fun. We all said the things that we're thankful for, and everybody gave nice speeches and stuff. And I really enjoy the company that I work for, and I love all the people that I work with. There's a very sincere sense of family. They really value each other there. So, but there was one point of contention, one little thing that stuck. And that was when they, the caterer forgot cranberry sauce. There was, and they had turkey and ham and all these sides and stuff, but they forgot the cranberry sauce, or they neglected to send it, right? Or separate gravy, I think it was. It was like one or two things. But everybody was sitting down, and for a little while, just for the smallest amount of time, several of the people that were there started grumbling to each other. Like, this would have been really good, but they didn't send this. They didn't have the cranberry sauce. And it was like, it took about like a little while of this, oh yeah, man. And who doesn't have cranberry sauce? Why wouldn't they bring cranberry sauce? Why wouldn't they order cranberry sauce? And it was like just for a minute, because at one point you could see a light switch just go off, and they said, wait a minute, everything's delicious. This is all great. This is awesome. Everything here's good. But as I was sitting there, I was thinking to myself, like, this is a spread, man. Like, this is so beautiful. Everything looks legit. It was really delicious. It was just all you could eat. It was fantastic. And just sit there in the midst of that and complain about the one thing that was wrong, the one thing that was a mistake or what have you. I just felt like that was sort of a life lesson for me, because I felt that a lot of times I find myself doing that. Like, not necessarily, I'm not going to just focus on food necessarily, but just where you're in a situation and you think, well, you focus on what you focus on. So I'll give you a couple examples. So, and I think I briefly talked about this on another podcast, but I think it was relevant for this, so I'm going to go ahead and tell the story. So I have this thing where no matter what time I wake up, get dressed, get up, and hit the road to get to work, something will happen. If I'm way early, something will happen that sometimes that will make me late and get me back to being like on time, instead of being way early. And sometimes when you hit that traffic, you all of a sudden, and I was talking to my son about this the other day, because we have a tendency of taking it personal when other drivers drive poorly. Like, oh yeah, you go ahead, cut me off. You want to get in front of me? You want to just slam on your brakes? Fantastic. It's that kind of, so all of a sudden you can get angry about it, right? And I'm telling you, there's nothing out here that's worth that. There's nothing that, like, so I told him about this story. So I was going pretty much zooming along, and all of a sudden I see the exit to go in the direction of my job, because I go straight and then I go basically to the right for like a while. And on the exchange, to get to the next highway, it's at a standstill. And I mean, when I say a standstill, not just like I'm not saying hyperbole, I'm saying like a literal parked standstill. Nobody was moving at all. And it was early, because I had plenty of time to get there. So at first, I think it was because of that something came over me, and at first I was like, oh, come on, here we go, just my luck, that kind of thing, right? And I messaged my job and I said, yo, like, this is happening. I sent a photograph, and it might have been when I sent the photograph, something came over me, and I said to myself, this might be the best thing ever. I cannot change it. This is it. This is where I'm at. This is this is my lot in life right now. This is, no matter what I say or do, this is what I'm doing for the next however long this lasts. And so, and gradually it was starting to sink in, because you start moving a little bit, and at first you think, well, what's happening here? Am I trapped? Is this going to be, what is this? What's going on? And at no point, and I felt bad, at one point I thought, this must have been a really horrible accident. This must have been like a pileup or like some sort of tragic event. Like, I hope they're okay. I hope whoever's involved, you know what I mean? Like, my inconvenience, my issue is having to sit in a car that's temperature controlled. I've got my cell phone that I can watch videos or television on, right? And then I have my packed lunch right here. So, I mean, if I'm here for 5 hours, I've got food and drink right here in the vehicle with me. And then like smash cut, and all of a sudden I'm binge watching episodes of my TV show, like while eating my sandwich and chips for lunch, and, you know, having a Coke, and like, and just having like the best time ever. Thinking like, you know what? I mean, I love my job, but I'm sitting in a car watching TV. You know what I mean? I'm watching episodes of a program and just kicking it, hanging out. And like, I got kicked off the highway. I was like, great, that's another hour that I'm going to be sitting here. I'm like, can't even get on the highway. And I said, beautiful. Here I am. Everything was hectic. People were trying to shove their way in. And I'm like, hey, be my guest. I'm just going to eat my chips and watch my program. Oh, look, I got a dessert. A beautiful day. Roll my windows down, enjoy the breeze. It ended up being like 3 hours, give or take, maybe a little bit more. You know, but my boss sent me a message saying, you know, hope you're cool, hope you're okay. Like, just, I see your, you know, this correspondence. I was sending photographs of the traffic and how things were going along, and he was supportive. He was just like, get here safe, do what you can. And I did. I aggressively went about it the best way I could. But the point is that at some moment in there, I just decided to take it in a positive way, instead of, you know, fuming. And I'd like to say that just was just me being zen, or like knowing the right way to be. But I could tell you equally, I was on my way to a show. We were doing a big show. I say big show. We were doing a full band show that was supporting my cousin. We were getting to do all my cousins, right? And they were depending on me, right? We're full band. We're going to go play. And they called and they said, are you on your way? Because there's a big parade going on and there's a lot of traffic. And I was stuck in this standstill traffic because of this parade or whatever. And they had said, avoid this highway because there's this parade going on. But I was coming from a different highway. But what I neglected to understand was that highway is going to run into that next highway. Anyway. But you're talking about, again, 3 hours, about three hours. I was very late to the show. But on this instance, for the 3 hours, I was veins coming out the side of my head. I was furious. I was yelling. I was pounding on the dashboard. I was like frustrated, angry. I was cursing at the traffic, driving aggressively, trying to get out of the traffic and find some back roads to get out of it. And by the end of it, I showed up late for the show. They had already started, played half of the show without me. But I was angry for 3 hours, is my point. Furious. I probably did more damage to my body in those 3 hours than anything else. Didn't change the outcome. Didn't change how late I was. It didn't. All it did was change my health. That's it. And the people weren't understanding to the fact that I was going through that. That's on them. It's not on me. But I thought I lost my medal. If you're looking, I have 2 medals. I only felt one. Most recently, I had an instance where, again, I have to call it, I'm blessed. I have this vehicle. I have a newer vehicle, right? I have to preface the story that way instead of saying I got this dumb car that, you know what I mean? That's the impulse to say something like that. No, I'm fortunate enough to own my own vehicle. However, it has this feature on it, right, where I'll tell you how it turned out at the end of it, but let's just start with what it did. So it has this feature where when you come to a complete stop, it'll shut off. The vehicle will shut off. And then once you hit the ignition, once you hit the gas, it turns on, and vámonos, you're back on your way. Okay. Well, in the past couple of weeks, it had been doing this thing where when it would shut off, it would make a beep, and the little light would come on, turn red, and then it would shut off the vehicle, and you'd have to put it in park and turn it back on. Typically, it was happening to me at a red light. So the other day, I was driving to work, and I was on the highway, and we were hitting a point of stop and go traffic. And when we stopped, it shut off and did the red light and said, turn back on, turn the car off and turn it on again. And I'm like, I'm on the highway. Right? You know what I mean? I think I even said that out loud to the car, as if the car could understand. I'm on the highway, right? But I threw it in park, kicked it on, and then kicked on. And I was developing this theory I have since I purchased this vehicle, that because I was not told about this. Apparently, like a lot of new cars have this feature on it, right? It's hard to call it a feature because it's not like a positive for me. I feel like it's like a negative thing that's attached to this vehicle. And don't get me wrong, it's a Subaru, and some of the safety features on this vehicle are actually kind of beneficial for me. Like, it has this braking system. If I'm approaching a car too fast, it'll give me like a bump, like a brake, and it'll tell me like, are you trying to hit the guy in front of you? No, okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure you weren't, trying to ram the dude in front of you. But anyway, ever since I bought the vehicle, I didn't know about it at first. I was driving to my job that after I bought the vehicle the next day, and I was in line to go into the parking garage, and it shut off. And as soon as I took my foot off the gas, it started again. Off the brake, it started again. So I went into the parking garage and I called my wife, all pissed off, like, yo, like, this vehicle sucks. I've had it 24 hours and it already shut off on me. And she's like, what are you talking about? And then, I find out that it was me not knowing better. But ever since that happened, ever since the day one, I said, this is not good. It's not good for this car. It's going to mess up the starter, or it's going to like wear and tear on the starter, or like something negative is going to be out of this, right? So anyway, over the couple of days leading up to that event, when I was on the highway, leading up to that event, it had happened once or twice where I would be at a stop and I would have to shut the car off and start, and I was already telling my wife, like, something's happening with this car. It's not even that old. Like, what's going on? I can't live like this where my car's breaking down and I'm having to shut it off. It could get me killed. And I'm like, and then when it happened on the highway, I thought, oh, that's it, dude. I'm getting rid of this car. So I was close to my work. I exited and I got onto the road to get to my job. I stopped behind, at the red light, about 10 cars back, and it shut off and turned the red light on. And then I tried to turn it back on and it wouldn't turn over. And I thought, geez, there it is. Done. So the reason I bring up this story is I could focus on the fact that I had to get a new battery, and that I broke down. But I could see my job. I could see my building, like, I was a block away. I was 2 blocks away from the dealership. People that I worked with. Well, first of all, a police officer pulled in behind me and put on his flashing lights. You know what I mean? Let the world know I was there. He was like, I'm here because I don't want anybody to hit you from behind. And he was like, I can help you push it, get you out of the way. I can do, and I told him I couldn't get it in neutral. Like, anyway, doesn't matter. But he was willing to push me if I could be pushed. I called for somebody to tow it, because I said it was 2 blocks away, but they had to come from an hour and a half away. Had they come, and okay, here's the thing. If they would have been right down the street, because they were 2 blocks away, then it would have been $80 or so, or however much, like, to pay for the towing. But we'll get to that. They were an hour and a half away, was what they said. So, I work for a corporation and they have drivers, and they saw me on the side of the road and they were able to come help with my vehicle. And the police officer was like, these guys? And I was like, yeah, I work right there at that building. They're coming to see if they can help. And even the tow guy was like, he was familiar with these newer vehicles, and apparently this is something that happens. He's like, we'll try to jump it first because it's probably just your battery. And so they jumped the car and it worked. And so what I'm saying is it could have happened on the highway, right? We break down 100% of the way. Out of sight of coworkers, they wouldn't have seen me. I might have had to pay for towing. I was going to go directly to the dealership and get assessed and have to, most likely buy a battery, which turned out it was going to be double the price if I did it, at a AutoZone or O'Reilly's or whatever. All of the negative things that happened, it could have been 10 times worse. So I felt like, even though I broke down on the side of the road and had to pay all this money for a new battery, I felt like everything was a blessing. Everything that happened for a reason. And So, okay. I went to the first O'Reilly's or AutoZone or whatever I went to, and they didn't have the battery in stock. But they gave me the price, they gave me the lowdown, they told me what was the problem, because this, they tested and all that kind of stuff, and they're like, well, so right before I left, the guy that was helping me out said, you might not want to go to the dealership because it's going to be double what you're going to pay if you just do it yourself, right? So that's what opted me to stop and go over to this other one, right? They didn't have it. So then I went to this other automotive place, and the guy that came out, he recognized a problem with the connection, and he diagnosed that because it didn't have a good connection. Whenever I was stopping, I was losing connection with my battery, which was, he said, this would cause damage if you have a start and stop, because when you start going again, it automatically kicks that battery ROM to get you going again. So long story short, going through all that 2-3 stops to get to this guy, was able to fix it, and give me some perspective on why my battery kind of went to crap and why I was getting stalled out on the side of the road. So I don't know. I feel like if you reassess everything in my world, I'm reassessing some of the negative things that have happened and looking for the blessings that are kind of in and around it. Yeah, I was talking to my mom, and she said, you need to recognize how blessed you are. And she was talking about these different things. And I was like, I know how blessed I am. It's that I'm upset about something else. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's a hard line to walk when you're trying to figure out how to assess and to voice grievances and to deal with these, like, just because I'm aware I have these blessings in my life, dude, doesn't mean you have to put up with this other crap. No. I'm just saying that, your attitude that you take when you go into it, could change how you interpret those events that happen to you. And maybe somehow that changes not the outcome, but where you sit in the middle of it, you know what I mean? Anyway. So in all the things that I'm going through, this year I'll count the blessings. Yeah. I'm thankful for all the things, that you hear about. I'm thankful for my faith, and I'm thankful for my family and for my friends, and I'm thankful for them. But I'm also thankful that I can be conscious of my blessings in the midst of the negative things, because if I've learned anything, you can't avoid those hurdles and you can't avoid those negatives. But if I could, I would be in a much healthier place if I didn't bang on the council and or get angry and why, you know what I mean? It's not, none of that's helping anything. If anything, it's the thing that's killing me most. Anyway, so this holiday season, this Thanksgiving, I'm going to count my blessings. I'm finding the blessings in the weirdest places. I had a dream just last night. This is unrelated, and I'm going to end with this. I don't know why I'm going to end with it, but it just popped in my head. I was writing a song, and what's her name? Taylor Swift was there, and she said, "I used to hate wearing tights." And then she looked off into the distance like as if she was on stage, and it was like a stadium and people were cheering. Because like she said it, and they cheered for it. And that was what I thought in the dream was, like, you could say whatever, and they would cheer for you. Like, what is that? And then I, woke up. So, very clearly, distinctly, I remember. And I spent the rest of the time, how you get like in a semi-conscious state. I spent the rest of the time listening to the riff that I was playing over and over, like trying to think, is this something? Should I wake up and record this? Should I write this down? And I was just jamming at it, Of course, you wake up and it was like, I don't know, that was just playing 3 chords back and forth, Anyway, have a happy Thanksgiving. Take care of yourselves, and see you next time.